Are you looking for some horror movies to watch this Halloween season, or spooky season as some people like to call it? How about specifically zombie movies? If so, I've got 5 you should check out. Let's talk about them today. This is the Geek Cabal channel. If you've not been here before, my name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be talking about 5 zombie movies you should check out this Halloween season. So, I've done one of these videos already on vampire movies, and there will be at least one more, because there's a lot of good vampire movies out there. There might actually be 2 or 3 more of those. There's a lot. Zombie movies get a little repetitive, because I could just say something like, just watch the George Romero movies. There's 6 of them right there, plus at least 2 remakes. And so, this list is a little bit different, and I'm going to do this video a little bit differently than I did the vampire one. I went probably into too much detail on those that should not have been anywhere near as long as it was. Unlike the other one, these more or less are like the cream of the crop. Like, there's going to be at least one more video as far as 5 more zombie movies, and I should probably mix these up in between them. But these are, to my opinion, like the top tier. It's not that the ones in the other one are bad or anything. You know, I still think they're good. I just think that, like, if you're going to limit yourself to 5, like, these are the 5. So, with that being said, here we go. Up first, and obviously this is the obvious first choice, but here we are, is Night of the Living Dead. It is essentially the progenitor of the modern zombie film. Now, there are other movies with zombies in them before that, but this was the one that, like, set the tone, set the rules, and yeah. So, now, what I'm about to say might be a little bit controversial. I would actually recommend the 90s color remake that Tom Savini made with, that's bad, with Tony Todd, and I believe Patricia Tallman is her name. Yeah, it was a remake, but it had George Romero's blessing, and, you know, he and Tom Savini knew each other and everything. Tom Savini's in Dawn of the Dead, but I think it's structured a little bit better, in my opinion. But it's not that the black and white one's bad. Like, if that was the only one we had, it would be in its place on this list. I just happen to prefer the color remake. So, maybe you can view that as a 1 and 2 choice. But yeah, this is the movie that started it all. You know, it's the people stuck in a farmhouse, surrounded by zombies, with some background commentary on maybe the zombies aren't the real monsters in this equation, kind of thing. But they're still going to eat you alive, so maybe they are. But yeah, now the original, well, both the original and the remake do have hints of racial dynamics, and they go different ways with it. So, I mean, you should probably watch both. But in my opinion, if you're going to pick one, I would go with the color remake, but that's just me. So, on to, I'm going to say what, in my opinion, are the 2 best for the last here. So, then we have Shaun of the Dead. Now, Shaun of the Dead is a comedy. However, it's also a really good zombie movie. Its script started life as just a straight zombie movie, which is why. Then they went in and added the comedy to it. Now, there are homages to several other zombie movies. The end credits feature the music that plays in the mall in Dawn of the Dead, for instance. And you never do find out exactly what caused the zombie uprising, just like in the Romero movies. But yeah, overall, it's a good movie. It's very entertaining. I shouldn't have to say this, but none of these movies are for children, just to be clear. In fact, I will do a horror movies that kids can watch video. I'll commit to that right now. So, yeah, Shaun of the Dead, funny, was one of the movies responsible for kickstart for reinvigorating, revitalizing, reincarnating the zombie genre in the early 2000s. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. Then the more serious end of British zombie movies is 28 Days Later. Also one of the 4 movies responsible for reinvigorating the zombie genre. Now, super technically, not a zombie movie. They're infected. They are still actually alive. They've just been driven completely insane by the rage virus. But they largely act like zombies, and it's like the zombie apocalypse, so it's close enough. 28 Days Later, it's a far more serious take. There's not much levity at all in that movie. It is very bleak. It does have two sequels. Uh, 28 Weeks Later, it's okay. It's more of an action movie. And 28 Years Later, which, as I said here in 2025, is still, I think, the best movie I've seen this year in the theaters. So, the pedigree's there. But no, this one, early 2000s, kind of has a look to it, like it was shot on like an early 2000s smartphone or something. I don't think such a thing existed in the early 2000s, but it's got a look and a feel to it. Very, very few actors in it, but overall really good. Parts of the end strain credulity, but these are all zombie movies. They all strain credulity. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. But it's, like I said, it's more of the serious end. I'm not going to call it the thinking man's zombie movie. I don't know that such a thing exists, but this is as close to it as we probably get, or 28 Years Later, maybe. All right, so now these next two are, in my opinion, it's a coin toss as to which one of these is the best zombie movie out there. For different reasons, but they're both solid. So we'll start with Dawn of the Dead. Now, by this, I do mean the original. It's not, I don't want to cast shade on the remake. I think the remake is like 90-95% as good as the original. Like, it's there. But there's something about the original, it's just there's a magic to it, But yes, it's the people who find refuge in the shopping mall trying to ride out the zombie apocalypse. Now, something about the Romero movies, and I might talk about this in some of the future ones, and I might have probably talked about it when I talked about the Romero movies in some past videos. Several of the zombie movies are supposed to be contemporary, despite the fact they were released in different decades. So, like, Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead are probably weeks at most apart, even though they're released in entirely different decades. One's in black and white, one's in color. And if you go to the remake from the 90s, it doesn't look like it's in the 70s like Dawn of the Dead. Now, being a movie from the 70s, it looks like it's from the 70s, okay? For those of you who've seen older movies, you know that it doesn't matter what time period that movie took place. If it was filmed in the 70s, it looks like it's from the 70s. So, yeah, with one notable exception being Star Wars, mostly. So, for Dawn of the Dead, for the original, like I said, they're very, very close to each other. Then you have, like, Day of the Dead. That's several years into the zombies rising up, and then Land of the Dead, I think, is even farther down the timeline than that. But then you have Survival of the Dead and Diary of the Dead, which are both contemporary with Night of the Living Dead, but lead into Land of the Dead. So, But yeah, so Dawn of the Dead, it's worth checking out. Some of the effects might look a little cheesy, because Romero, I think I saw him one time talk about he wanted to have it look more like a comic book. It's like the reds are real bright and things like that. But the gore is top notch. And the drama, and again, just like the original, has some things to say about about racial attitudes. This one had things to say about the dominance of consumerism in then modern culture. So it doesn't, well, I'm not going to say it doesn't beat you over the head with things. It's pretty blunt about it, but, it's not the overarching theme of the movie. This one, unlike the original, does actually have someone call them zombies within like the last 10 minutes of the movie. But yeah. So then the final movie we're going to talk about, Return of the Living Dead. Now, this one is also tied to Night of the Living Dead. Now, I'm just going to tell you right now, this one's from the 80s, and this one definitely has some very dark humor in it. It is not a 100% serious movie. Now, the events are serious, but but the characters within them take them seriously. But we, the audience, we get a few laughs out of it. Again, it's very dark humor, and there's a lot of little subtle things in the movie. Like, I should do a whole video on it at some point. But it is kind of a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. There's a whole backstory involving Romero's partner and some lawsuits, and essentially, the original Night of the Living Dead, no one owns it because of the way copyright, I want to say it's copyright. I'm not a lawyer, so this is what I picked up secondhand, just to be clear. And nothing I'm about to say represents legal advice or anything. that because the paperwork wasn't filled out properly, like no one actually owns the original movie. So like in theory, you could put it up for free on YouTube. You could make copies of it and sell it as long as it's the actual original version, because any alterations later on, those people probably have copyrighted those. So again, I'm not a lawyer. Don't take any of that as legal advice. Don't follow that as legal advice. If you do that and get in trouble, don't be like, oh, this guy on YouTube said I could do this. No, I did not say you could do that. I said you probably could do that based on my understanding, which is not legal. So remember that. But so the lawsuit, there was no product to win in the lawsuit. So it came down to what aspects of the movie, what the title. And so Romero's partner got the Of the Living Dead, part of the title, which is why it goes from a Night of the Living Dead to Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead. It doesn't use the Of the Living Dead, but this is Return of the Living Dead, so it does use it. And within the plot itself, they do talk about Night of the Living Dead and how it was based on real events, and but they weren't like you see in the movie, and that's a key plot point here. But yeah, this one, unlike the others, we actually do know exactly what causes the zombies. It is a chemical called trioxin 2,4,5, and the zombies themselves are the ultimate nightmare scenario. They can run, they can think, and they can talk, and they only want to consume brains because they are in massive pain because of the fact that they're corpses. Their bodies are dead. They can feel themselves rotting away. And the only thing to alleviate the pain is some kind of chemicals up here. And so that's also where the whole like zombies wanting to eat brains, this is the movie that comes from. So it is a genre defining type movie. Also, fun little side note, I'll be brief here. It was Dan O'Bannon wrote a novel called Return of the Living Dead. Then the movie was optioned, the movie was created, the movie is radically different from his original novel, then he wrote the novelization of the movie. So, there are two books, both called Return of the Living Dead, both written by Dan O'Bannon, that have different plots. And I believe there's a disclaimer in front of them to tell you which one is which. So, this little side note there. But yeah, so these are 5 zombie movies to check out here this Halloween season, or any other time of the year, but it's spooky season. But yeah, keep an eye out. There's going to be at least one more of these for zombie movies, probably a couple more for vampire movies. Like I said, I'll do one for horror movies that are age appropriate for kids to watch. I'll define what I mean by kids in that one, by the way. And we'll see if I can come up with any others. Slashers, I'm not so sure, because I'm just literally be like, well, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, the Candyman and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, there's the video, So, but maybe we'll see. But yeah, that's all I've got on this one. So let me know what you folks think down in the comments. Have you seen these movies before? You gonna plan on watching them? What kind of movies do you guys watch for spooky season here? What zombie movies do you like that I didn't mention? And remember, there's going to be another one. So and a couple of these remakes and sequels to some of these movies will end up on that list also. But anyway, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing, commenting, help us grow the channel. We always appreciate it, and appreciate all of you who helped us get over 575 subscribers recently. And as of this recording, we're not far off from 600, so hopefully we'll get there before the end of the month. But, either way, thank you folks for sticking around. I literally couldn't do it without you. And, yeah, that's all I've got. So, just remember, in the words of Ken Foree from Dawn of the Dead, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.